Man, John, we got a top 10 quarterback. Feels great, baby.
Okay. If we look at Brock Purdy, this was not even close to his best game. Not even close. I mean, the misses, and there were probably about 4 or 5 throws. Yeah, three missed deep balls minimum. Yeah, you had the one to Ayuk touchdown. You had the 3rd and 8 to Jennings, which would have been about a 15-yarder. Completion would have been a first down. Was open. Great route by Jennings, and then you had the freaking Debo touchdown. So those three for sure. But here's the difference between Brock Purdy. The local game here, I had Red Zone on one TV, and then I had the local game on the other TV, which was the Raiders and the Bills. Jimmy G came out, and again, I love Jimmy G, but I'm trying to set up where we were in the past to where we are now. Jimmy G goes out there, amazing open drive. He's throwing darts and lasers. It's incredible. Then 2 more interceptions. Team's out of it by halftime. Game was over because of the mistakes and the turnovers. That's why. It's not because Jimmy wasn't making good throws. But now you look at Brock Purdy, how many of the passes he threw today were interceptable balls that were put into jeopardy? The rule is whenever you coach quarterbacks and you're throwing the deep ball, if you're long, you're never wrong. Because look, if I'm throwing a deep ball and I overthrow you, bummer, we got to punt. If I underthrow you or lead it too far inside to the safety, now that's an interception, a whole different ball game. So if I had to grade Brock Purdy on this game, it's a B plus. I mean, he went 17 for 25. That's solid. 206 yards. All right. No touchdown passes, no interceptions. That's kind of the thing. He did have the rushing touchdown, but he had a 93.1 rating. That's winnable football when you have guys like CMC and Debo and all those things. And so, was this a great Brock Purdy game? No, it wasn't. But he's not losing it. And I think that's one of the things that separates and makes this team what it is.
Yeah, absolutely, John. And I mean, really, you said it. When you look at the turnover battle, you win 2-0, you're going to be in a good spot to win the games. And yeah, I mean, Brock's just limiting turnovers. He's making plays, within himself. He's not making super crazy throws. If he had a couple of those, man, I shudder to think how early I would have turned that game off. It would have been over in the third quarter.
Yeah, and I mean, Steven, I love this comment. If that's a bad Brock Purdy game, if that's the bottom bar, that's fine. You just don't have to lose it. It was very similar. Well, the game flow with how close the game was till the end was similar to the Dallas game. I know the Dallas game was a lot less points, but how close the teams were the whole time was the same. And what did Brock do? He just steady wins the race, and he let Dak lose the game. And you let Matt Stafford lose the game. And so you don't cost your team. And does that make him a top 10 quarterback? I don't know. But I can tell you this right now. I'm not sure there's 10 quarterbacks I would rather have than Brock Purdy as my quarterback. It's a perfect fit. And I think one of the coolest things ever, right before the half, 49ers are down 10-17. They take a couple shots in the end zone and they don't get in. And there's barely 1 second left on the clock because Brock hesitated too much and then lobbed it out of bounds on nonchalant. That thing was in the air for another half count. You're walking out of that end zone into halftime down 7 points instead of tied. But Shanahan freaking put on the big boy pants, and everybody's like, man, he needs to be more aggressive. Needs to be 1 second left. You quarterback sneak it. You don't get it. That's huge. So I gotta say, you have Shanahan who trusts his quarterback. And so this allows Shanahan to be Kyle. You invest all this stuff and allow your head coach to have unlimited reign and personnel and coaching and whatever. Now you allow him to be him because you have Brock Purdy. When Trey Lance was back there, he was hesitant. When Jimmy G was back there, he was hesitant. That dude's not hesitant anymore. Like, not even a little bit. If you look at, what was it? Here we go. If you just, I mean, how do you go out there? What it's not a fourth down play, but it sure as hell felt like it with 1 second because it was it. You either get it or you don't. And so I think that's huge. Shout out to Daryl in the super chat. He said, awesome win today, family. Thanks, JC and crew. Man, first place, baby. If you
Woohoo.
walk away from this video, which we're not done, first place. The 49ers are in sole possession of first place. That's it. So you've got 49ers 1, 2-0. Then you've got the Rams at 1-1. They're 1-1 in the division. Then you got Seattle at 1-1. They won in overtime. 0-1 in the division. And then you got the Cardinals who are 0-2. And so pretty much what we thought, except we thought the Seahawks would be a little bit higher. We'll see. Their defense is an absolute joke. It's pretty damn hard to win in the NFL without a defense. Ayuk went the very first drive, something happened, neck, shoulder area. There's something around there. Big Papa says, Clayton, at the appropriate time, any word on Ayuk's injury? So
I'll seen anything, but we're watching.
Yeah.
We've got some speculation in here. I see a lot of people talking about potentially like a pinched nerve up in the neck or something like that. Of course, we're not doctors, so we're not going to diagnose him right now. But yeah, we'll definitely be looking out for that.
We'll keep checking that out. But, I've been in that situation before. It hurts. And, it happens and you immediately think like, oh, man, it's all broke. And then after a while, just the sensation relaxes. But if you keep taking hits, it compounds. And so this is an MRI issue. So what they'll do is they'll go in and get an X-ray. The X-ray will probably be negative, but that doesn't show anything ligament, tissue, nerve damage, or anything like that. Just bones, right? Again, this is my own speculation based on what usually happens in this situation. Usually start with the X-ray. That'll be negative. Tomorrow you get an MRI once, everything calms down. That's a longer process. It takes a while to get the results and all those things. And then you'll see from there. But my assumption is he's going to be okay. He's going to be questionable for this week. And so it's how it responds. The fact that he kept going back in over and over again and playing, that's a positive sign. It's a lot more of a pain issue. And if there's swelling to where it limits you from extending your hands up, a lot of times you extend your hands out just fine after those, but lifting up, that is where the pain comes in. So again, speculation just based on, coaching and playing for so long and being around shoulder and collarbone issues. But the fact that he kept going back in, my assumption is I bet they got an X-ray at the half. And, that's what it is. Ishmael says, Warner might be a little hurt, John. Saw him grab, one of the last tackles. I saw Debo do the same thing. It's football. It's football. And so you got to wait and see. And, Warner, that dude is the captain of my captain. We used to always say how Bosa was that. He's no longer a captain. The holdout, he didn't get the votes from the teammates. And I'm not trying to throw like shade on Bosa, but Warner is Warner. Like that dude runs everything. Bosa's not getting sacks. Guess who got the only sack in the game? Fred freaking Warner. So we'll see. Warner hasn't missed much time. And it would be rough if he is out. There's no doubt about that. But how do I say this? You look at our schedule, next 2 weeks, you're home for 3 straight weeks. All right. It's the homestead. You're at home versus the Giants on Thursday. So any player that's somewhat questionable, you keep them out. That is not a divisional game. It is a conference game. And then they get the long bye week, come back against the Cardinals. Then you got the Dallas Cowboys. So if you're ranking those 3 games importance, it is Arizona 1 divisional game, but Dallas is right there too, because I think Dallas is probably the next best team in the NFC alongside the 40. I put Dallas ahead of Philly with how they played. So like you've got Dallas and the Cardinals are most important, Giants way down the ladder. So something to keep an eye on. Injuries are always a thing, and you never want to just like, you'll be fine, play through it. But I'm telling you right now, if Warner can be out there, that dude is a madman. He is a warrior. It's going to be tough to keep him out. That's all I'm saying.
Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast.